Hello and welcome back to another video. Today I will be talking about Avengers Endgame because I just saw it last night and I had to talk about it because it was a truly awesome film to watch. It was such a great payoff in so many ways and I wanted to talk about it in this video. Spoiler free, okay? So there won't be any spoilers in this video, don't worry. I will try to be as subtle as possible and describe what I saw exactly on film. And one thing that I did not like about this movie that I have to talk about. Let's get the obvious out of the way. First of all, we know that this movie involves time travel. Yes, there is that aspect involved in this movie. It's a big chunk of it, the movie. But that's what makes this movie so fun to watch. The closest thing that I can relate, comparing it to Back to the Future Part 2. Now, if you saw that movie, you know that Marty, he goes back in time and he has to not get involved with his past self and he has to fix things in the past. And that's what this movie tries to do, but in a better way, like a step up. Because when you think about Back to the Future Part 2, the computer effects were not as good as today's computer effects. When you add that into the formula, it's so fun to watch. When they do go back in time, it pays off all the previous films that led up to Infinity War. So when I watched this movie, it made me want to watch all the previous movies in the past, MCU, right? From the beginning, because there are so many Easter eggs laid out in this film that you can't fully understand, fully grasp until you watch the previous films over again and you look at it and you compare it side by side and you think, wow, holy cow. It's all interconnected and it all makes sense. The first movie, Infinity War, the payoff was that we had all these films with all these characters and then it finally converged into one film. Just like Game of Thrones, like the final season that's happening right now. All of these characters that we grew up watching for 10 years, they finally are in the same room together interacting with each other. That was the payoff for the first movie, Infinity War. The payoff for this movie, Endgame, are all the previous films. So that's, wow. I really like this movie. You can tell it's truly awesome film. And the comedy is great. Thor was so funny. What happens to his character? I'm not gonna give it away, but he is really funny in this film. What happens to Hulk? I liked what they did with his character. That's a gradual progression of his character. Black Widow, I really liked how they made her story. I mean, it makes sense and what they're gonna do with the prequel. I really liked her part in the film. War Machine was surprisingly good too. I liked his character in the movie, the way he interacted with Rocket and Nebula. Yeah, they're very good chemistry. Hawkeye, wow, he had the most difficult choices to make in this film. Because he had a lot to lose, right? Because he lost his whole family. But later on, like, geez, the hardest choices were his. Captain America, that guy. Holy shit, the surprise. The ending, wow. When you see him in the movie Age of Ultron, just watch that movie. It pays off in this movie. And what a payoff it was to watch Captain America. To describe it, it's like when you see Thor in Infinity War when he got the new axe and everybody in the crowd was cheering. The same thing was happening to Captain America in this movie. Like everyone was cheering for him. I can't give it away, but it was just amazing what they did with his character. And I liked how they did it. It was a really good payoff for him. But the number one guy was Robert Downey Jr., Iron Man. A lot of people think that, or a lot of people were saying that this is Captain America's movie. And I can agree to some extent, but I really felt that this movie was all about Iron Man, right? Because when you think about it, this whole thing started with Iron Man. That was the first movie, Robert Downey Jr., Tony Stark. That's how this whole thing started. I would say that Captain America and Iron Man, they both deserve top credits for this movie. One without the other, just you just won't complete this film. Yeah, Captain America and Iron Man, these two guys are the heart of this movie. It won't be the ending that you think it will be. A lot of people on YouTube or online were saying that the film would end in a certain way with someone's death, but it didn't turn out that way, surprisingly. But it is a good ending, and I have to watch it again because it was really heartbreaking how they ended this movie, and I don't know what they're gonna do in the next stage. I mean, how can they top this? The Guardians, Rocket guy, he was good. Ant-Man, yeah, he had his part. It's good too. Thanos in this movie was more of like a side character compared to the first film. Like the first film, the whole movie was about Thanos. This movie, I would say, is all about Captain America and Iron Man together. He's got screen time, but not as much as compared to the first film. The main takeaway from this film is Captain America and Iron Man. This is their movie. I love both characters. I mean, they're kind of like the yin and yang for me, because I really like, well, I grew up watching Iron Man because I remember watching that first film. I'm like, holy shit, this is going to be something big later on. And it did. So I really liked Tony Stark character, the character of him. And I really like Captain America's character because they both balance each other out. You know, one's really smart and technological, and the other one's full of heart and brave. And like, you can't have one without the other, I would say. I like both of those guys together on screen. It's just amazing. One thing that I did not like about this movie, that it just didn't fit this movie. Like, it was so out of place from the beginning. Like, every time I saw her on screen, it was just like, she doesn't belong in this film. It felt like they just squeezed her in. Was Captain Marvel. All of her scenes in this movie were just horrible, like out of place. Something wrong about her character. It just didn't fit with this story, this formula. This controversy about Brie Larson, she just doesn't fit in this formula, in this movie. And every time I saw her on the screen, her character reminded me of Rey from Star Wars, you know, the Daisy Ridley character, like the Mary Sue. Like, she's like all powerful, like nothing can stop her. She's there, but nobody's rooting for her character. Like, no one can relate to her character. She has no flaws or fragility that makes me relate to this character. Compared to like Tony Stark or Captain America, like, these are strong characters, right? They're intelligent, brave, but they have flaws. They're dealing with loss. But Captain Marvel, she's just like, I'm perfect. I'm Mary Sue. I'm better than everybody. I can stop everyone. I can stop Thanos by myself kind of attitude. And that really turned me off. And there's a scene near the end of the film that I have to say it felt shoved in. The directors did not want this scene in the film, but they had to shove it in there to please the feminists. Some sort of like hidden agenda. Watching this scene, and then I felt like I was out of the movie for a few seconds because of it. All of a sudden, I'm no longer watching Endgame. I'm watching Feminist Game or something. Like, what is this? Do we really need this? The thing about Infinity War, the thing about Endgame is the moral of the story is teamwork. We cannot do this alone, one without the other. We need to stand up together. We need to fight Thanos together. We need to work together. Teamwork. The whole arch of Avengers and Infinity War is just being part of a team, being part of something greater than yourself. And that means sacrificing yourself for the greater good, for the group. Everyone working together. Except for Captain Marvel. She does not work with anybody. I just don't see her fitting in with this formula. And that's the problem. Plus, I want to give this is the only spoiler I'm going to say about Captain Marvel. She cuts her hair, like, later on in this film. So she's got, like, if you know the character of Captain Marvel, she has short hair, like spiky punk hair in the comics. And she has this kind of hairstyle later on in the film. When I saw her with this hairstyle, it looked like it was digitally done. Like, they put CGI to make her hair in this punk style. Like, her face is here, but her hair is something else. Like, it's kind of like watching like Superman with that mustache that was digitally removed in that film. That's what it looked like in this film as well. Like, they digitally added punk hair or they swapped her face with someone else. When you see the press tour, like you see Brie Larson interviewing for this film, she has long hair. So obviously she didn't cut it in this film. So they had to get a double for her to have this short punk hair. And it just didn't look right. It didn't look good. Whether she cut her hair or not, it didn't fit her face. So it's like having like Captain Marvel having like long Thor hair, or Iron Man having long like Tarzan hair. It just doesn't fit the character. So this Captain Marvel, every time she was on the screen, I was out of the movie. Like I was like, ugh, like this doesn't seem right. This is out of place. And I can see that the producers of this film, they tried to squeeze her into this film, but not so much. That was a good call, because any few more seconds added to Captain Marvel's screen time, I would have been pissed. Yeah, Captain Marvel, she is the problem with this film. But everything else is awesome. Endgame is awesome. I would definitely recommend this film. You watch this film. If you like time travel, you'll like this film. If you like heist movies like Ocean's 11, you will like this film. If you like teamwork, working together, if you like that aspect in Infinity War, yeah, it pays off. This movie really works, except for Captain Marvel. But if you want to disagree with me, go ahead. This is my honest review. Let me know what you thought about this movie. Leave a comment down below. Subscribe to this YouTube channel. Hit that notification bell. Bing! And I'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye!